Canada.
Canada. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rejoice Christian Eagles Coaches Show, coming to you live tonight from the patio, Mad Eats on 76th and Main here in Omaha. So come on down. If anybody's out and about and they've got time, plenty of room out here. Come on down and kind of take advantage of what we've got going on. A little bit of entertainment, but there's definitely some good food and great milkshakes for sure out here.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I know.
I know from experience.
From experience. Yeah. You want to take it easy on the milkshakes. I'm Mark Kirk, and I'm joined tonight here with Mark McCann. As you notice, Bill's not here this evening. He's actually out visiting other people out on the East Coast, up and looking at the trees up in Maine, and he's up with Jay's Maine grandpa, right? So
yes.
A lot of cool things going up there. But we're with Rejoice Christian Eagles head coach Brent Marley, and we've got who's our guest tonight?
Our defensive coordinator, Matt Eckel, and Matt does a tremendous job, and glad he's here because, boy, we needed defense the other night against Bonita.
Yeah. And did they step up or what? They step up or what? It was a great time. It's that game. It was highly touted, highly hyped, going into it. And did it ever produce? Right? I mean, it was literally just exactly what everybody had kind of hoped it would see. I know it started out great for us. Right. It was a great, very quick start on the game. But we did face some adversity. And, that was unfortunate, but what was, one of the best things about the game was really how the team kind of came through that. They showed their mettle, they showed their backbone, their spirit, and they didn't let that really affect the outcome of the game, obviously. We had some other folks step up to fill the gap, and I thought it was excellent. I mean, what was your feelings on the game?
Well, it started out like typical fashion, the way we want to start out. Started out fast. Cooper Auschwitz from Chance Wilson to Cooper, that first touchdown. Cooper just spun outside and went about 70 to the house, and then we held him on D, got the ball back, and went down. And Cooper scored again, and it's 14-0 pretty quickly. Which it shows you. It's unfortunate that we went through the injury issue. We didn't really let off the gas after that, but if we wouldn't have went through all that, it'd been interesting to see what that final could have been. Because let alone just getting our bearings back and settling in and keep moving forward. The unknown was there for a little bit, and everybody had to rally around everybody, but we know what we've got when Chance is there and Solo's playing and everything's normal, and then that kind of derailed, and you got to take a little bit of time to figure stuff out. So I really think it would have been just interesting to see what would happen if he'd been able to play, but that's not what happened, and I think the experience of what did happen hopefully will be better for us down the road, gaining depth and the situation with Kel having to go in I thought the offensive line played tremendous, and
they did for sure.
I thought it was the best game they've played all year. Jace Jenkins ran the ball extremely well, he was highly effective and showed what he can do, and hadn't got a whole lot of opportunity before that game, and Drevin hadn't been feeling very good, and we called Jace's number, and Jace has had a great attitude the last several weeks when he hadn't gotten that opportunity as much, and he got in there and just, boy, he really, really got after it and was impressive.
Did a great job.
And then defensively, I'll let Matt talk more about that, but, I only had the one thing, and Matt may talk about that there's just the one play that everybody wants to know about, but take that away, and man, they were solid.
They were solid all night long. I mean, there was a couple things in there, but there always is. But for as far as an overall performance, I thought it was an amazing performance overall, really on both sides of the ball. But the fact that Kale came in and really filled that gap after what is legitimately a huge hole, one of the hugest holes you can really have on an offensive side of the ball is a change in quarterback. I mean, that's the guy that directs everything that's going on out there. And, Kale came in and just really stepped up, and I thought it was just amazing the way he played. And literally, the offense didn't miss a beat.
Yeah. He's played quarterback his whole life growing up, and played quarterback for us in the 8th grade a couple years ago, and we're in a tough conference in the 8th grade, and we had a really good year that year. It's just kind of the thing he does. I mean, Obviously, he's a little more of a run threat. He's a dual threat, but he's more of a runner than a passer. But he hadn't had a lot of opportunity to work on throwing the ball with our ones and throwing the passing game. Even all summer long, he was playing receiver, and it's just the way it is when you're a backup quarterback. So we really had to, we knew he could run though, and
he did. And he did.
Yeah, he did. And it's, I say it with humility because I'm grateful for the way he stepped up, but the runs that he did and the running game with him involved, that wasn't a fluke thing. That wasn't like, he just had a
we've seen him do it a lot of times before. Absolutely, yeah.
It's just what I really believe. That's just him being him. What I was more grateful for, obviously his dad, but as the coach, was just handling the offense. Okay, catching the snap. Handing the ball off, not turning the ball over. He took a couple sacks he shouldn't have taken, but it was much better than trying to force a ball downfield, throwing a pick,
and turnover,
and turning the ball over. And we didn't have a turnover, and they had 3. And you get to the end of the game, and we had 1 turnover early. But chance to do an interception early in the game.
Very early in the game.
Beyond that, we managed the clock well. Didn't have any delays of the game. We had to call 1 timeout to avoid a delay game there, but we were trying to eat the clock.
Sure.
So really more his game management, I felt like, was the thing that impressed me, because just like I said, he didn't get a whole lot of reps. So grateful for that, and grateful for the opportunity for him to be able to go in and do that. Just not happy though about Chance not being there.
Oh, absolutely. It was a huge tragedy to see that happen, and you don't want to see anybody get hurt. But at the beginning of the game like that, and the stage we are in the season, the stage he is really in his career, and then to have have to sit out a game at all. But I mean, the good thing was, if anybody had any question about the effectiveness of Rejoice's offense, with or without Chance, I think that was proven that night. And I think, watching Cale really, run that offense, and it's not an uncomplicated offense, right? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things happening, and if you're not doing that every day, if that's not your primary position you're practicing on, I'm sure there's a little anxiety when you first step out there to go. And honestly, about the only thing I saw that was dramatically different was, sometimes Cale's he doesn't have quite the height, right?
Right.
And I think I saw some issues, where we got some big linemen up there, and there's a lot of tall folks in front of me. Whenever he got out away from that, where he had a little opening, he threw the ball accurately. I thought he did really an amazing job.
Yeah, they were. Just avid about taking away our sprint game. Even when Chance was in there, they were when we started to roll one direction, they would send their overhang to the field, number 6. They would just scream him upfield, and we're blowing it up. And so a couple times we tried to sprint him, because that's really his best way of throwing, is his bootlegging or sprint pass, so he can be a run pass option. And he had to hitch up and try to get up underneath that. Got sacked once, and another time tried to throw it as he's getting hit, and couldn't get him out of the pocket. So then now we're kind of limited to in the pocket, and so we threw a couple screens. The quick out to Cooper that Cooper took about 55 yards was an effective play. He threw a couple jets to uncovered guys, which was just enough to keep the box vacated.
Keep them honest.
And then playing man to man, and it allowed the run game to be effective. With Jace or with Kel.
With anybody, and like you said, I think the offensive line play really, it showed. The later it went in the game, the more it was showing.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the way they really kind of commanded that line of scrimmage and opened those holes, and then they kept pressure. Yeah, there was a couple of sacks, but if you give enough time, they're going to get there, right? You can't hold everybody forever. But I thought that everybody just kind of did an amazing job, and on the offensive side of the ball, as really effective as they were and everything that was going on and how nice that was, I still think on the defensive side of the ball was really where I saw that I was most impressed for the night, because I thought they just had a super great game. Everybody across the board all night long.
Right. Giving up 28 points, it may not sound like that was our best defensive game, but really you take out the play right before halftime and a couple of screens that we didn't recognize fast enough, and it might have been our most complete defensive game. The way our kids really competed and challenged their receivers. Their receivers are really good, and their quarterback's really good. And he's got a lot of moxie, and he's an athlete. And, Coach had got to go watch them during our bye week after Beggs, and got to see them live and in person. And we just talked about how good they are at the, sprint out and throwing the comebacks and the curls and the slants, and their RPO game's really good. So we knew we would have to challenge our kids to play a lot of man coverage and really get up and put their hands on people. And just from the start, I mean, their first play, Solo is just he's all over the kid, just playing perfect coverage, breaks on the ball, picks it off, first play, sets the tone. You know, I told him the other day, I said, it's a shame, you know, obviously it's a shame, period, he got injured. But I said, you were going to have he was going to have just such a great night. I think they would have stopped trying to throw on his side. And but, you know, Bryce was doing a great job in coverage. We kind of moved Bryce over to their sideline to kind of take away some of their best stuff. And then Jace Jenkins coming in, Drevin coming in and filling in that role for Solo and really playing well all night. And, you know, like I said, you take away that play right before halftime.
Yeah,
and
that
one was
brutal.
tough. And, you know, just a little lack of focus there. But I would rather that play happen now than in the second or third round of the playoffs, because they're going to remember that now.
I was going to say.
All we have to say is, you know, right before halftime, hey, we're not going to let that happen again.
It's not over till it's over,
exactly,
right? Yeah. As long as there's a second on the clock, there's potential things, you know, something that happens.
Especially against a team with a lot of good players like they have. They had a lot of guys that could go to the house at any second. So
they're also going to remember Coach Eckel talking to him at halftime.
It was a nice conversation. We sat and had a nice, quiet conversation about it.
I'm sure.
And Coach Marley did the same, actually.
Well, I think everybody in the stadium probably sat there and thought, well, you know, they're just going to run that clock out and go into halftime and regroup, knowing they're going to get the ball coming out of halftime, right?
Right.
And I think even they thought that's what they were going to do, right? And then all of a sudden, there's nobody stopping me. I'm just going to keep on going. And like you said, you know, they got some speed. They do have some speed on this side of the ball, and you give them a little bit of a head start, it gets really tough, obviously, right?
I think it was a shock to everyone on both sides.
I know I was shocked.
Right.
So something in the research that they were giving us to look at that I thought backs up what you're talking about with the strength. There are 9 players that we listed out with highlights of solo tackles, 10, 11 tackles each. The smallest number here is 3 tackles each. 9 different players stepping up and moving into that role. Yeah. So you guys had a hard decision of choosing a player of the game that night. But any of these guys could have filled that slot. So I think it speaks highly to what you guys are talking about, the team effort that the defense was giving right behind what the offense was putting out. It was great.
I think, in my opinion, I think on even more so than even on offense, on the defensive side of the ball, it's gang tackling. It's a group effort, and I think that's indicative of what we saw that night. I mean, everybody's really working together. They're filling their assignments, and they're moving to the ball. Whenever the time's there, they all they move to the ball.
Right.
And I think that's what we were seeing. I know the central part of the line, there wasn't a lot of success that they were having on running through the middle. Right. Between the tackles was pretty much.
We stuffed their run really well, and our box with Dalton and Marshall and TJ and those guys, and then you got Isaac Barnett and Peyton Cole inside, and Camden Ryan played a great game at Bandit, and then Cooper Auschwitz is the best outside linebacker in Oklahoma. I'm just going to say it. I believe that.
He's a force to be reckoned with.
He's a force, and he had a huge sack on a huge 4th and 1 or 2. They were going to bootleg and play action that, and he just
blew it up,
knifed in there and blew it up. And then Josh Hendricks had a great game, had a huge pick. I feel like Josh's pick, we went up 41-21 in the third quarter, and then they got the ball back, and it was, I think, a 3rd and 8 or 9, and he broke on a ball on their sideline and picked it off. Looked a lot like Solo's pick in the first quarter. And then we would go down and score again and make it 48-21, and I think they were done at that point. They were really wanting to be done, like you said, before halftime. They were wanting to run the ball because they wanted to go in, and they were
regroup.
You could see their body language. It was 34-7, and I think we had them right where they, and that gave them a little bit of life to keep fighting. But we just kept fighting too, and worked out.
Yeah, I mean, they were obviously a really good team. There's no doubt about that. And I think chances are you're probably going to see them again at some point in time, I think. And, they did not lay down, and they definitely have some weapons in there. But I think the effectiveness of really Rejoice on both sides of the ball that night. And we had some very fortunate things happen right at the beginning of the game, which you're right. I think sets the tone for it. But I think the other thing, everybody continued to play very effectively on Rejoice's side, which pressed Sequoia. Pressed Bonita back out of their game plan.
Right.
Just kind of like what you guys have done in virtually every other game coming forward. Right. Get the other team out of the game plan and where they're not in their comfort zone, and things tend to work better.
Right. when we can make their offense more predictable, obviously that helps our defense out tremendously. And our offense just puts so much pressure on the opposing team because we score so much and so fast. And so when we kind of get that 14, 21-point cushion, it's very predictable what they have to do offensively. So that always helps us out a lot. But yeah, the kids they were tremendous all night. Their effort, the way they competed, it was outstanding.
Well, it was a great win. And, I think so Rejoice runs the record to 7-0 overall, 4-0 in District 2A. And, that really puts you in a great position for the rest of, and of course the season's winding down here as far as the district play goes. We're down to just 3 games left, count tomorrow night. And that was, a super important game, obviously, that you just finished up with. Once again, it just kind of amazes me how many people come out to the game. There was Bonita sent a lot of people to the game.
Yep.
Rejoice had even more. There's just so many people show up to these games, and we just need to continue doing that because I know from being down in the field myself, it was always makes you feel better whenever you look up in the stands. You got a lot of people cheering you on. You got it kind of gives you that extra little bit of drive, and I think I'm sure the boys probably appreciate that too.
No, they love it. I had several people throughout this year. We've had some big games, obviously, and people have came out that have not been in a while or came back. We had an alumni come back, Andrew Crow, who tremendous player for us back in 17, 18, and 19. Rushed for 2,600 yards, and we honored him at the first time out. And his dad came back and hadn't been to a game in 2 or 3 years. And I saw him the other day out in public, and he made the comment that I could not believe the difference in the atmosphere at Rejoice at Gibbs Field and Rejoice Stadium just in 3 years. It's not just a game now; it's an event.
It's an event.
And so we're a jumbotron away from just blowing this whole thing up.
I know there's some folks working on that right now. So.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And we start doing player introductions, and they're flipping a ball up, saying what grade they're in and what position they play. And mommies and daddies love that.
Oh yeah,
if their son's up there on the screen. So
absolutely.
Anyway, it's coming. I'm gonna speak it right now into existence.
I think we're definitely close to that. Of course, we got another game coming up tomorrow night. It hasn't had the hype, obviously, of the Bonita game or Claremore Sequoia game or something like that. But once again, that's why you have to play these games. You can't overlook anybody, right?
Right.
And tell me a little bit about what to expect on tomorrow night.
Well, they're a balanced team. They don't just like to run it. They don't just like to throw it. I mean, they're definitely going to take shots. They'll throw it deep. They run quite a few screens. I mean, they're going to try to screen. Their tailback's pretty good, number 21. He's kind of a scat back, kind of elusive kid. Quarterback moves pretty well. And, so they've got a couple kids that they try to get the ball to. And, they got nothing to lose. I mean, there might be some trick plays involved. And so we just got to be ready for everything, and so they're going to be. And then defensively, they're scrappy. I mean, the kids they play hard. And, so we're just going to have to do what we do and control the ball and control the clock. And, we want to try to go fast. That's one thing that when Kel went in the other night, we actually kind of had to go default mode, and we didn't want to go fast because we had the lead.
Yeah, you want to eat up some of that clock.
And we want to eat the
yeah.
clock up and until he gets some experience, and with him and Cam, we're not going to want to go as fast. But tomorrow, we've worked on it all week. They've had some experiences. So we'll just kind of see how it works tomorrow night and try to go fast. And so really we just got to not beat ourselves tomorrow.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I mean, Nowata is it's another long-time tradition school, right? Yep. So they've got some pride, regardless of what their record is right now. Yep. They've got an opportunity to come in and play what's the best team in the state as far as we're concerned, and they're going to play up for it. I no doubt that. So it's a classic trap potential, right? So you got to keep everybody focused and play the game the way Rejoice has been playing all year long. If you continue to do that, obviously good things are going to happen. But this is one of those kind of games you don't want to overlook, right?
Right. No, absolutely. 1-0 tomorrow, and we've had a good week of practice. I don't feel like our kids have been focused on anything else besides Nowata. They're not looking ahead to anything, and we've had a good week. I've liked our energy. I've liked that we've been bouncing around. There's not seem like you got the triplets, Jay Miller and Solo Morton and Chance. Two of them are on crutches. One of them's got a boot on, and that's kind of your beginning of the year. You're looking at those three, and they're your top three playmakers, really. And our kids aren't acting like, woe is me. Because
That's good stuff.
life throws you that kind of stuff. You got two options. One, you're going to buy into it and let it affect you, or two, you just got to, hope they come back quickly, but everybody else got to step up and do their part. So we're not going to do the first one. We're going to do our part, and I think that the guys understand that, and they're ready to go.
Exactly. I think, you hit the nail on the head. This is a team sport, right? And everybody that's out there has a significant part to play. And some key pieces. You've got some injuries, some things to deal with, but you've got great people to fill in that gap. And some of them, they just need that bandwidth sometimes to be able to allow them to grow.
Yep.
And I think in situations like this, that's the kind of opportunity you want to look for if you're that younger guy coming up, right? You want to be able to have that opportunity to perform. And this is going to be a classic one of those examples.
Yep.
How are we looking on defense for tomorrow night?
Well, like Coach said, they got a couple of kids that can make some plays and hurt you if we're not focused. They run a lot of formations, so we'll have to be prepared for that. We don't want to get caught in a situation where they formationed us and someone's running wide open down the field, so we really got to stay laser focused there with a lot of their motion game and stuff, and kind of how they run some bunch sets. And with the kids, it's like I tell them, and like we were talking about earlier, you don't want it to be a trap game. We got a target on our back. So we should get better this week.
Exactly.
No matter who the opponent is, we should be better after this week than we were last week. And so that's the goal, is to go out and get better tomorrow night and have a good game and have some success, and hopefully, get some of our younger guys a lot of valuable game experience because they might be called in later on down the road as well.
You never can tell.
Just
exactly.
like Kel and Jace got called up the other night to a new position and to some more carries and more time with the ball in their hands. I mean, defensively, I'd like to get a lot of guys a lot of playing time tomorrow night, because there might be a time later on in the season where they're going to need to go in and get some big time, big moment playing time, and we want them to be ready. So that's the hope.
No doubt. And you brought up something just a second ago that I hadn't really thought about, but this is a perfect situation if you're Nowata, who really has, like you said, nothing to lose. This is when you'd reach back in there, and any of those things that you wanted to try that say, hey, hypothetically we could do this, right? I think these are the kind of games you'd pull something like that out. Yeah. They're at the point in the season that they're really not in contention for district. They're not going to go to the playoffs, right?
Right.
They've got nothing to lose. So you're right. I mean, I think this is that opportunity you want to be ready for everything and play to the last second.
Right.
Clicks off. You play to the whistle regardless,
Exactly.
right? You play to the whistle.
Well, and like Matt said, I think it's a good opportunity to get some guys. Hopefully, we get some guys some playing time, and we will. We've got some kids that have a lot of ability, that need some experience, and we trust them. And talking about Rice and Golightly, who wore number 20 last week, was our Rise Above Player of the Week, just because he had a great week of practice covering our varsity receivers. And we couldn't get away from him. We're like, well, you know what? This kid, I mean, he needs to play. He's a good-looking junior. He's physical. He's tall. He moves well. So he'll get a little bit of time tomorrow night. He can play corner or safety. And we've got we've been rotating some kids. Goose, Maverick, we call him Goose, but Goose Gwynn, a bandit, he'll be behind Cam, but he's going to play some tomorrow night. Devin Skeistis at Rover will play some for Coop.
He's been doing really well, too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a long frame sophomore that's about 6'2". I mean, he's got great testing scores in all of our, our tests that we did in the spring. And Aiden Wadley, another defensive end, that will get some more time tomorrow night. Big, another big sophomore kid plays defensive end for us. And then on the offensive side, we've got, some kids that Isaac Barnett, probably, we hadn't seen him run the ball a whole lot. Get him a little bit more opportunity to run the ball tomorrow night. At slot with Kel going to quarterback now, we've got, Cam and Bryce, but Blake Witten and Goose Gwynn and, those guys should be getting some time tomorrow night. And, and they got to step. And what we want to see is when you go in, and we saw a little bit like out of Blake at Adair, you're not, don't act like you're just a guy that's getting to go in.
It's the first time. It's not the first time you've done it. Exactly.
Go make plays, and he's got playmaking ability. He's savvy with that. I mean, he's a little sly and he's got good hands. So there's other kids on that coming up that we're looking forward. Maverick Gwynn, is another one, and Devin can play receiver. And then Zizi,
Yeah.
you know, we
Oh,
got,
yeah.
you know, Zizi, who had a nice screen catch against
He
Adair.
did, and he
Yes, he
looked
did.
really good going down that line too. I thought he was going to break that one.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, he can play safety and play receiver. So you know, there's a lot that you know. Hopefully, I didn't mention a lot of guys, but there's a lot of guys I hope to get opportunity tomorrow.
Oh well, good. You know, Nowata's not that far up the road, guys. You know, so if you all have, obviously, if you're around here, we want to see you come up to the game and show big again. So we've got a lot of folks out there from the Rejoice side. I think it makes a big impact. But if you can't, you know, we're going to be bringing the game to you tomorrow night on the YouTube channel. Let's see. Bill says he's in Addison, Maine, filling up on lobster and haddock, just up the coast from Jay's Maine
Man.
Grandpa. You know, he sent me a video the other night about the lobsters up there.
Yeah.
And he had this lobster. Okay, Bill. He was going to drop the lobster. You know, lobster's about to go in the pot. So you know, the lobster's not happy right now. But the lobster's sitting there in the tail. So he said he's waving by.
So Bill had lobster and haddock, is that what he said?
Yeah.
And so I'll tell my story. I just had the tuna tostadas here, and I had no idea that they were chunks of raw tuna. I love seafood, but I don't eat raw fish.
Oh, yeah, man.
Not a sushi fan.
I had to send it back. Yeah. I like my fish cooked.
Yeah, well.
Unless I'm, Tom Hanks on Castaway, I guess you have.
Yeah, you have no choice.
Hopefully
yeah.
I never go through that.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
Yeah.
Bill asked another question. What play did Solo get hurt on?
The first punt return.
Yep.
The very first punt return of the night. So he was in on our first two series of defense and first, I guess, two series of offense. And he actually went out before Chance did, and he was out most of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we saw he'd set out, but we really weren't sure what had happened, right, and what was going on. And that game was another one of those kind of games that you're just I'm sure everybody's exhausted, but you know when you're looking at it and kind of watching, you're just exhausted at the end of the game, right? It's like it's just so tense, but back and forth, and and it's kind of funny. You look back on it now, it looks like Rejoice had it under control, literally the whole game, right? But you're still like so wound up and tense over that thing. It was just kind of amazing. By the way, if there's anybody else out there that's got any comments or anything else that wants to in, please forward it up here. And we'll take a shot at getting an answer for you. Todd Witten's still back behind the screen back there, taking care of all the things for us, and Todd's just done an amazing job of keeping all this stuff together for us and setting up the things like this, our array here for the coaches show, but also taking care of making sure when we have when we're at home at our field, everything's already there. It's very in tune. But we've got to take all this on the road to go to each one of these stadiums and sometimes there's a little, they have a little less facilities than Rejoice is used to, right? Is the best way to put it. So so there's a lot of effort goes in, and then of course Bill being out of town, I really appreciate Mark stepping up.
Oh, I'm doing a whole lot. I'm doing a whole lot tonight.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
Mark is the golden throat.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Voice of the Eagles.
Okay.
Does a great job.
Yeah, he does. He does a fantastic job on the PA system at the home games. That's for sure. And he's going to help us out a lot tomorrow night too. Cheryl Witten, is it different for Cale knowing he's going to start versus last week when it was spur of the moment? That's actually a really good question.
Good question. Somebody, she obviously knows football. That's an intelligent question.
It is.
It is a little bit different. I think that the other night he didn't have time to think about it. And when I called him over, he told me when I got home that night, when the dust settled, that he was nervous for the first three plays. And then when things started settling in, he said it just was so much fun because he's like, I realized I can do this, and now this week during practice, he has a tendency to be too grinding focused, and he wants to be. And I come home after every practice. I came home today just before quick coming here, and he's like, that was my third series wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It's like,
who does he get that after?
I don't know.
Is that after you, Misty? Who's that?
I wasn't going to say anything.
I said, what about your first two series? I said, dude, you got to just relax and don't try to be what you already are.
Sure.
And just go play and have fun. And so anyway, we'll see. He's been really focused this week on prep. We had a good quarterback meeting yesterday morning with him and Cam and Ethan, and we'll see, and Cam's going to play tomorrow night too. We're going to roll with Kel first, and and let him go for a while, and then we're going to let Cam go for a while, and then hopefully Ethan gets to go for a while, and just kind of let them all get experience and do that. Because, you know, the plan is Chance is coming back. And so if Chance wasn't coming back, we might just more 80-20 type. But since he's coming back, we want them both to get some experience, and Kel needs to get some reps at receiver too still. Because we don't want him getting no reps at receiver, and then in 3 or 4 weeks Chance comes back and he hadn't played receiver at all. And Cam needs to get reps at receiver, and he'll start tomorrow night, and he'll play quarterback too some. So it's a team effort, and hopefully we go and play as a team tomorrow night and get it done.
Fantastic. Any last thoughts on the defensive side?
No, looking forward to it. Excited to just watch the kids go out and compete. That's my favorite thing every week is just I like being on that sideline and watching our kids, go make plays and get excited. That's what I enjoy.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, if we'll be back here at Mad Eats on the patio next Thursday, right? This will be a Thursday. So next Thursday at
Actually, we're Thursday night game.
Right.
Thursday night, so it's going to be Wednesday night here.
Wednesday
night here. Okay, Wednesday night here back at Mad Eats on the patio. Show will start at 7 o'clock for the coaches show. If you can come on down and join us out here and enjoy some of the food and the milkshakes and whatever else that they've got out here for you. And we'll try and be as entertaining as possible. If you can't make it, then be sure tune in to us. And then tomorrow night we got the game, and we'll be at Nowata Field. If you can't make it, be sure and pick up the broadcast on the YouTube channel again. And the game time is 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Yep.
Okay.
7 o'clock.
And it's been another good week, and looking for another excellent game tomorrow. And I want to appreciate again Todd for putting all this together for us and making things this possible, and thank Mark again for stepping up and helping us out here. And coaches, we appreciate you guys, and we appreciate everybody that's watching too. Be sure and come out and see us if you can. And in the meantime, we will bring you the broadcast, and we'll keep things together for you. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you all again tomorrow night. And have another. We'll be looking at another win, right?
So hopefully so.
Sir.
Appreciate it, guys. Again for Bill Bush, who's not here today, but we really appreciate him too. And thanks, Bill, for putting all this together for us, even when you're out of town on vacation. Good night, everyone, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow night.